Hi, this is Lindsay from The Homey Life, and today I want to share with you how to make sourdough discard Pop-Tarts. These are so delicious. The first thing you want to do is let 1 cup of butter go to room temperature. Now I have found that letting your butter go to room temperature actually makes for a really good pastry. It tastes really lovely. It's very different than if you were to actually melt the butter. It leaves a very different consistency. Let it go to room temperature where it's nice and soft, and then you're going to add a 1/4 cup of raw sugar to that, as well as a teaspoon of vanilla, and I'll add a teaspoon of salt as well. Give it a good mix together, and then add in 1/2 cup of sourdough discard. So I just take this straight out of the fridge and pour it straight in. Add your flour. I use coarsen flour, which is an ancient flour. It's also known as kamut, which is the brand name. So you'll add a total of 2.5 cups of flour. I add 1 cup at a time and just give it a mix. Mix it as much as you can with your dough whisk. I highly recommend a dough whisk. I'll leave a link in the descriptions below. I'll also leave a link for this recipe below so you can easily just click it and print this recipe if you want to. Once you can no longer whisk it with your dough whisk, then you'll see that I just knead it by hand to form a nice ball. This is a great recipe to prepare in advance, so I know that I'm wanting to make this for tomorrow for my kids. You can literally just make the dough itself and then leave it in the fridge for up to 5 days. So you can have it all prepared. Once you turn it into a ball, you're going to see that I'm going to cut it in half with my dough knife. Flatten out both balls. It's a lot easier to roll out if you don't actually turn them into a perfect ball, but more like a disc. That will just make it a lot easier for you later on. Wrap each one and then place them in the fridge, and they will slowly ferment. And like I said, you can leave them in there for as little as half an hour or up to 5 days in the fridge. Now you're going to want to get your oven preheated to 190 degrees 70 or about 375 degrees Fahrenheit. Now you will find if you take them straight out of the fridge and try to roll them, they're going to be a bit hard because of the butter. The butter has now hardened. So if you think about it ahead of time, take them out of the fridge and let them kind of thaw for about an hour, and then you'll find it's going to be so much easier to roll them out. Anywhere from 30 minutes to a solid hour. Roll it out to a large rectangle shape. I generally roll them about 12 inches long, I'd say. Maybe another 10 inches high. I kind of just try to roll it out to my silicone mat. It doesn't have to be perfect. That's the great thing about this. It's a homemade recipe. You can easily fix, as you will see here, the edges. I really like my dough knife, but you can use any knife to just kind of fix the edges, put it together, give it another little roll. It will look amazing. Once you've rolled it out to the length that you like, you're going to cut it into 4 equal portions. Now don't skip this step. If you don't want your jam popping out of your Pop-Tarts while it's baking, make sure that you mix an egg and brush the egg over your Pop-Tarts. When you close it, you'll find that it helps to really seal it in, and you will not have jam spreading out of your Pop-Tarts. Now get a tablespoon or just over a tablespoon of jam, whatever flavor that you like, and put it in the middle of your Pop-Tart until you fill up all 4. Afterward, just carefully peel 1 layer at a time for each Pop-Tart. Cover it and just press the sides lightly with your hand and move them a little bit apart so that you can then crimp the edges with a fork. Once you finish these 4, don't forget you still have a whole nother ball that needs to get flattened out and filled, so you'll make a total of 8 Pop-Tarts. Just crimp the edges. It just gives it really a pretty look, and also just helps to make sure it gets really sealed as well. Afterward, just brush it again with some more egg. It will give it a nice shiny glaze kind of on top, and then stick it in your oven to bake for 20 minutes. Pop them out of your oven, and with a spatula, remove them so that they can cool for anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes. does depend on how eager your kids are. Mine were pretty excited, so I waited 10 minutes, but they really did need to be cooled a bit longer for the glaze to really stick nicely. When it is too hot, you're gonna find that your glaze will just melt. So I'm just making the glaze now. It's just 1 cup of powdered sugar, and you will add 2 tablespoons of water. You can also add milk if you like to it. Give it a good mix until it's thoroughly creamy and mixed all together. And then just with a spoon, you'll just nicely put it on top of each of your Pop-Tarts, giving it that beautiful sugary glaze that everybody loves. And like I said, for these ones, they were a bit too warm, so you will see that a lot of the sugar will just slide off, but my kids still loved it. They didn't really care. I let it cool a bit and just added a bit more on top, and they really still enjoyed it. If you haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel. I make lots of recipes, and I also love to share homemaking tips, biblical tips on homemaking, as well as just general homemaking advice to make your life easier. I'll see you again in my next video. Bye for now.